Well, good morning. Welcome to another adventure. Today we're in eastern LA County. We're hiking CT-022 Sunset Peak, which is hugely popular up here. It's got a really beautiful southern profile for VHF. Plus, it's got a pretty mild hike, so it's very popular with the soda activators in the LA area. I think it's been activated like 50-something times, so we're not breaking any new ground today. This is a 3.5 mile hike. We're taking the traditional old fire service road up. Been described as too many miles, not enough grade gain. It's about 3.5 miles in, 3.5 miles out, 1,300 feet of elevation gain. So 1,300 feet spread over 3.5 miles. So I'm kind of expecting a pretty mild day. Looked at the elevation profile. I don't see any big gains or anything like that. It's kind of a mediocre day. We're on the forefront of a heat wave, so it's kind of getting warm today. The visibility is not all that good, and the space weather is pretty blah, so I really know how to pick them. So what we're going to do, we'll cover the trail, and again, like I said, we're going to go the traditional route. There are some shorter routes. We'll talk about those in the after action report. But they're steeper, and I'm not familiar with this mountain, so I'm going to kind of stick to the ones I know. And then we'll go up there and we're going to activate VHF, which I got to tell you, the profile this thing has, I could go up there with a rubber ducky and a really bad radio and get my 4 contacts. But we're going to use the beam again today. And then we're going to go over to HF, and my expectations are running pretty low for that, and we'll talk about that up top when we talk about the space weather. So I'm going to walk you through this hike, and again, this is the fire service road route. So when you research this, if you decide you're going to do this, there's a number of routes that you can take up there. One comes up along the ridge right behind me here, and that looked pretty steep. And then while you're zigzagging up the fire service road, there's a number of bailout points where you can get off the road and onto trail. So we'll talk about that. So let's get up on top. Let's get this thing going, and we'll see how it goes today. This is new for me. This is my first activation up here in LA County, and we'll see. I've been kind of trying to get away from the old repetitious stuff, so this is unique for me. Let's go. The hike to Sunset Peak starts right here on Glendora Ridge Road. Parking's kind of limited, so you're going to want to get there early. It's kind of limited to the turnouts at the side of the road. Right off the get-go, if you notice, you've got 2 choices you can make. The much steeper 1.5 miles, 1,300 feet of elevation gain ridge route, or the traditional 3.75 mile fire road route. You've only gained about 300 feet. That's just kind of the way this trail is. It's slow, big mileage, not a lot of gain. One thing I'd like to talk to you about, this is kind of a dangerous peak. In other words, if I were hiking and it was extreme fire conditions like Santa Ana or wind blowing, and they were talking about extreme fire conditions, I don't think I'd be up here. This whole trail's mid-slope. There's no escape routes. There's no safety areas. The backside of this mountain, for the most part, is in cell phone shadow, so you're not going to be able to call out for help. Even if you used your Garmin device, that takes time. I just think that this would be one of those days that you might want to rack up and reschedule, because even at the top, even though the vegetation is less, it is not a safety area, and you can't bail off this trail. The incline is just, I mean, it's tremendous. I mean, you would fall. So if they're talking about weird fire conditions, maybe you might want to reschedule. At the second switchback, you can look down at the ridge trail that came up from the parking area, and then you can see where it continues on up to the peak.
third switchback, you're going to find this small trail that kind of heads up to the right there. That'll take you directly to the top and bypasses a little bit of the trail. Final switchback, you can see this little footpath on the right here. This is just the trail that's been coming along the rim all the way up from the parking lot. After that, just a little short push to the top, and there you go. Plenty of wide open room to set up your antenna.
So we made it to the top of the peak. My Garmin 66 has us in here at about 3.75, so I kind of trust it over the mapping programs that put the mileage well, CalTopo to me is the best, but the mapping program I was looking at said it was only 3.55. I think it's a little bit longer than that. Still think it's about 1,300 feet of elevation gain. We'll talk about it in the after action. It's not a very exciting trail. It's double wide hiking and dirt road, and it's just a relentless grind up 3 3/4 of a mile with about average of 300 feet of elevation gain for every mile. So yes, it could be steeper. It seems to me that you have two choices: ultra steep and boring. I'm sorry, I don't mean to say that. Anyway, we're at the top. We're going to get set up for 2 meters. And one of the things we're going to do is I'm just going to show you how I set up. I use the FT-022 for 2 meters, simply because I like to run sideband every once in a while. With all this view of LA County, I'm thinking, well, it's going to be pretty good. And we'll talk about the elevation profile here in a minute. The first thing I want to do is show you how I set up the 817 with a fanny pack and a wrist adapter for my phone, because I do app logging for the 2 meter portion, and I'll show you how I set that up, because it's really hard to write and have a mic in your left hand and an antenna in your right hand. So today we're using the Arrow 3-element handheld beam on the FT-817, and let's get that set up, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. We'll look at the elevation profile, and then we'll activate 2 meters. We're also going to do HF, and we'll talk about space weather. Be right back. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how I set up my FT-817. So when I'm on a peak using the 817, I really like to be mobile, and the reason for that is I like to be right up on the edge of the mountain. No obstructions, clear shot for the antenna, because really you'll find that the effects of terrain affect the effectiveness of this beam. If you back away from the peak, people are going to start having trouble hearing you as you get close to the edge. So don't underestimate the advantage of having just clear air out in front of you. Okay? So I use a fanny pack, just a regular old fanny pack, and whatever fanny pack works for you is great. I keep my Bioenno battery in one of the bottle holders. I put the FT-817 inside the pack, and I have my microphone over here. Now, the one thing I do is I do app logging for 2 meters. And the reason is I like to use my phone because I can't write, because I got the microphone in my hand. So when I'm holding the beam, what I use is this athletic phone holder I found on Amazon. It was like 16 bucks, and it rotates. And what I do is I just keep it on the inner aspect of my wrist, and that way I can log while I'm talking. I'm sure you guys have much better ways of doing it. I'm just showing you my way of doing it. So that's kind of the way I do the 2 meter with the beam. Now the other thing I did is I color coded my elements. Not that I can't count past 3 elements, but when you're up here on a cold day or you're tired and that, it's nice to have yellow match yellow, purple match purple, red match red. The other thing it does, by putting this electrical tape this close, it gives me a little grip. I can really tighten these elements. I don't know if you guys have used the aero antennas, but if you don't get these elements tight and you hold it up, you can hear them chattering out there. So it helps me get them nice and tight. Okay, let's look at the elevation profile for this peak, okay? So looking west to east, it's not very impressive, okay? The reason is because we're basically right on the southern aspect of the St. Gabriel's. So basically looking directly west from here, I'm looking at Mount Wilson, and then looking directly east from here, I'm looking at the much higher Ontario Peak, Timber Peak. So, and then from the east, well, we'll get to that. So I'm not really looking for the contacts, and that's not what makes this a great 2-meter location. But now let's look at the north to south. Okay, north, forget it. I got Mount Baldy staring at me right here, and I'm not going to get over it. So the desert is out. But this thing has unlimited southern exposure. I mean, it is just great. Hypothetically, curvature of the earth, man, this thing, you could go clear down to Mexico. It's really, really good. And that's why, look at, what is it, 51, 52 activations up here. If you're a guy or a gal just looking for a quick activation, man, you could hike up here with an HT, and I doubt you'd ever have trouble making your 4 contacts, because it's just going to be great. So what we're going to do is, now that we've looked at the profile, we're going to go over there, we're going to get into some clear air, we're going to do our 2-meter activation. The other problem is, when you're this close to the LA basin, all the simplex channels can fill up pretty quickly. I know probably where you live that sounds weird, but you can fill them all up here, because there's a lot of people that use them to talk on. So we'll see if we can find a clear frequency. We'll get spotted. We do have 4G as long as I'm hanging out over the cliff over here. Let's get going. QRZ, is the frequency clear?
Only for you.
For KE6ZGR, Little Saigon.
K6LDQ, is that you, John?
Yeah, the mosquito around your head and the flea in your pants. K6LDQ.
5'9", my friend, up here on Sunset, sounding good.
Yeah, you got a great signal down here in Torrance. 5'9".
All right, buddy. You take good care. Good talking to you.
All right, you too. Have a good hike. Well, you already made it up there, so hike down and a great day. Thanks again.
Thanks, John. The other station, Little Saigon. Go again.
Yeah, where are you located at?
Sunset Peak on the Angeles National Forest, W6CT-022.
Oh, what are you doing? Are you soda?
Yeah, it's a soda activation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm down here, Little Saigon, Dale, KE6 Zulu Golf Radio. My beam's pointed to San Diego.
Dale, give me your call one more. The handle here's Mark.
Kilo Echo 6 Zulu Golf Radio.
All right, we talked before, Dale. I don't know when and where, but I've got you in the log. Very good. You're 5'9" up here, my friend.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pointed down towards San Diego. Well, see you later. Be safe. KE6ZGR.
You take care. Good meeting you. QRZ for Summits on the Air. Kilo Golf 6, Lima, India, KG6LI.
Whiskey Alpha 6, Whiskey Victor. Morning, Mark.
Sergio, how are we doing? We in Torrance today?
Yes, still in Torrance and still working from home. You are 5'9" right now.
5'9" from Sunset. Of course, we probably can see each other. Okay, good deal. How you been, bud?
Oh well. You know, just really busy right now.
You take care. QRZ for Summits on the Air. Kilo Golf 6, Lima, India, from W6CT-022.
Kilo 6 Hotel Zulu Radio.
Jose, we made it, buddy.
Hey, how you doing, Mark? How was the hike today?
So 3.75 miles with 1,300 feet elevation gain. It's just mileage, man. It's this long grind. You gain about 300 feet for every mile. So it was just work. I can't say that it was all that neat.
6 QCB.
Jeff, how we doing today?
Doing good. Sounds like you're having a good time up there.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a beautiful view up here. It's just a long grind. It's going to be 7.5 miles round trip. You know, it's just mileage.
Well, stay cool up there. You're 5'9" here in Rancho.
All right, buddy. You take care. Good talking to you again.
All right, and I assume I'm 5'9" up there?
You kidding me? 20 over. Take care, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mark. Have fun. K6 QCB.
November 6, X-ray Zulu November.
Let me make sure I get... Is this Mark?
That is correct. This is Mark.
Where are you at, buddy, so I can point my beam at you?
I am in Fontana.
Oh, well... Okay, that makes it really easy. 5'9", my friend.
You are 5'9" plus.
Whiskey Echo 4 Bravo Yankee.
I got Whiskey Echo 4, and I didn't get the suffix, sorry.
Bravo Yankee, Bravo Yankee.
Okay, let me make sure I've got it right. Whiskey Echo 4, Bravo Yankee, is that correct?
That is correct. You are 5'9" into Orange County, Irvine to be exact.
Well, you are 5'9" on Sunset Peak up here on the Angeles National Forest, kind of above Upland. QRZ for Summits on the Air, Kilo Golf 6, Lima, India on W6 CT-022.
KI6 SLA.
I was going to begin and wonder if I was going to come up here and not be able to talk to Mike.
KM6 UHU.
Derek, are you over there in Altadena?
That is correct. Altadena.
Kilo November 6, Delta Mike Oscar.
K6SJG, Cerritos Mobile. Good morning, gentlemen. Just want to say hello.
Hello, and Kilo November 6 station. Go with your suffix again real quick.
The suffix is Delta Mike Oscar, KN6DMO.
Luis, where are we at today?
SJG.
I'm over here in Rosemead at 200 Power Down. You got such a great signal opening here.
So the 2-meter activation went really well. I was kind of surprised I couldn't hear any of the San Diego crowd. Maybe they just weren't there. We're now going to activate HF. Let's take a look at the solar weather, and then we'll talk a little bit about that. So the solar weather is nothing to be too excited about. Last week we were at a solar flux of 95. This morning we were, what, 72 or 71? Let me look at my little cheat sheet here. 71. Yesterday we had a something go through town. Something got us. We had a KF4 just for a short time, or a K2, A14. I don't want to get too caught up in that, a little bit. The 304A is what's got me a little, the other aspect of the little flux that's got me kind of weirded out. It's only at a, what was it, 112 or something like that. I usually don't, 113. I usually like to see that above 150. So we'll see. My let's say that my expectations are somewhat jaded for this HF activation. Got the Tactical mini up with the band springer. Gonna run as many bands as I can. Hopefully we'll hit everybody that we can. And then again, we're just running it over here to the FT-817. Found a nice shady spot. So let's get on that HF. The phone service has been kind of in and out up here, so I may have to use APRS to spot. I don't know yet. We'll find out. Let's go.
So my first indication that band conditions are pretty rotten was the fact that I didn't make any contacts on 60 meters. 60 meters is usually good for like 4 or 5 contacts. From Southern California, it's usually good into like Northern California and like New Mexico. On this day, not a word was heard. So that kind of was like the trend for the rest of the day. So that being said, no sense in wasting time. Let's get on to the 40 meter and 30 meter contacts. Let's go.
Well, we're pretty much done with this activation. It basically blew chunks. I mean, but we knew that going in, right? So here, the numbers I looked at coming up this morning, when the solar flux had bailed to 71, and yesterday the high maximum usable frequency at Boulder was like 14.3 megahertz. That's not good. The other number I monitor pretty closely is at 304A. I like that to be about 150 or above, and it's a 114. We knew HF was going to be tricky today, and it was. I mean, when was the last time you went out on an activation and didn't make one single contact on 20 meters? That doesn't happen unless the sun's exploded. This is pretty cool. So anyway, the backup plan was 2 meters. I don't see how 2 meters you could ever go wrong up here. I mean, let's look at the view. I mean, basically, you're looking all the way Mount Wilson, Pasadena, LA, I mean, San Diego. I mean, it's all there. So, I mean, if you came up with 2 meters, I would really find it hard to imagine you not getting your activation, unless you didn't send an alert out or a spot. And that's really important. You know, I've noticed increasingly a lot of hams don't send out alerts, and that, you know, I don't know, man. I like to try to let people know I'm going to be up here, because, you know, one thing I will say, the crowd up here, the ham crowd up here in the LA Basin, super bueno guys, man. They're top notch. And if you're coming from out of town and you're thinking about doing a little hike up here with your HT, they'll be there for you. Just alert and spot. But there's a whole group out here in the valley and they chase, and they're there for me. So I really like coming up here where I can talk to them. that's it. So after this, we're going to do the AAR, just talk about it. There's some stuff I want to go over. And then after that, I had some requests to put my full CW activation up so you guys could, and with some of the translation, which that should be interesting, up. And there's a couple things I want to point out. I've been doing Morse code since 1974, and what you'll hear is me make plenty of mistakes, okay? And the reality is you're going to make mistakes. Don't freak out. Don't be scared. If you know if you're pretty good at CW, you got the letters down, you got the numbers down, jump in there, because remember, this is what we've always talked about on my channels: operate, 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 right? Get out there, go at a speed that you're comfortable with, and start talking to people. And with time, guess what? You become the expert. That's the whole thing. Is I don't like telling people about buying certain radios. I don't like telling people how to buy antennas. I want you guys should get out there and operate and be the expert, so you can mentor others and help them. You know, there's all this stuff going on about all these high-end radios, and I'll tell you what. I'll still tip my hat to the person that sits down at a table and solders a radio together, builds his own antenna, comes up here and activates with it. That's the guy I think's pretty cool. So, and I don't do that, because if I had a soldering iron, I'd be on my third house. So anyway, that being said, you guys take care. I don't know where we're headed next. I'm thinking about activating more up in the LA area and kind of working my way out toward the Santa Monica mountains, but we'll see. Gas at $4 a gallon, you know, when I start my, never mind, I don't want to talk about it. You guys take care. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I know it's been a long time since we did the last activation. Me and the wife, we've got a full list with elderly family members and stuff, but we're going to try to do this more regularly. And please make it all the comments you want. If you guys have a better way of packing your 2-meter gear and that, like the fanny pack, please let everybody know what that is, because that's the whole learning process. If you look at your solar numbers a little bit differently than I do, please don't feel free. I'm not a porcelain teacup. I won't fall apart on you, I promise, if you say something like Mark is full of crap. So take care. 7-3s. We'll see you on the next one.
So Sunset Peak is a between 7.25 and 7.5 miles, depending on which path you take. It's really a neat path, because you can take really a easy route, which is the fire service road, all the way up, or you can kind of make it intermediate by getting off the service road and taking some of the shortcuts on the switchbacks, or you can make it as hard as you want by right from the parking lot heading up that ridge trail, which is going to be about 1.5 miles with the same amount of elevation gain, about 1,300 feet. So it's kind of whatever you want to make of it. Again, 1,300 feet's the elevation gain. If you take the fire service road, you're going to average about 300 feet per mile all the way up. It's just a slow grind, lots of miles. The activation area is a wide open area. There's no real good shade up there, and there's no real tall trees, so anticipate taking up a mast or something to hang your antenna on. Cell service all the way up. When you're going up the switchbacks, it's really rare to get any kind of cell service in there. Up on top of the peak, I had to move around a lot, and at one point I couldn't get it, so I had to spot using my APRS. And there you go, APRS, yeah, really good up there. The VHF profile to the direct north, nah. West, nah. And east, not too good, but south, you could talk as far south as you want. And so it makes it really good for VHF activations. No real noise sources I heard up there, nothing. It was quiet. The trail type is really well maintained. It's a combination of double wide, service road, and single track, and it's all very nicely maintained. The overall difficulty as far as elevation, it's easy, but it's just lots of miles, okay? So your feet are going to feel it at the end. Today on the equipment, we use the FT817ND for both our HF and VHF activation. We also use the Soda Beams band springer. For VHF, I took up the Aero 146.3 handheld beam, and then the tuner was the Elecraft T1 tuner. Soda Beams Mini Tactical is the mast, which is like 19.5 feet tall. As far as the radio contacts, 19 total. The bands used were 260, 40, 30, and 20. And what's really weird, this is the first time in like 90 activations it's ever happened to me. I made no contacts on 20 meters. The band was just totally quiet. So I don't know if it's a combination of conditions or if it's conditions and location, because basically Sunset Peak is surrounded by like 10,000 foot mountains, and it kind of sits down kind of low amongst them. I kind of doubt that, but boy, it sure was quiet. So we only had 9 HF contacts, 10 VHF contacts. We used CW and FM. Long shot for the VHF was only 38 miles down to Irvine. But you know what? This really has the potential for a real long shot down into San Diego. They just, nobody was listening down there. And then again, today was we knew going in it was a really poor solar conditions. So, but you know what? It really didn't matter because we knew the VHF was going to be on our side. So, all in all, this is a really neat little peak. If you just want to go up with your HT and activate, be sure to post your alert so they know you're going to be up there, and be sure to spot, and you're going to have no trouble. You take care.